Thank you, Madam Chairman. Chairman Bainum, thanks for coming here. Representing the city of Chicago, I'm more familiar with the CFTC than some members, and I think you do a great job.
Thank you.
In fact, because of your good work, we've been able to establish global leadership in many areas, particularly when it comes to the mercantile exchange and the futures market. People trust it. It has a level of integrity that makes a difference. There is global competition, but we seem to do pretty well in that competition. And the question is whether or not we can establish the same standard of integrity when it comes to this whole crypto world. I was surprised in preparing for this to learn that 1 in 5 Americans has invested in or traded cryptocurrency. Your testimony notes the fact that a significant number of these investors are lower income individuals who took quite a hit recently. It's no wonder that the average American is interested in this. After all, respected investment advisors like Matt Damon and Larry David have told them this is a good investment. Everybody's doing it and everybody's winning. But we know the reality, and you pointed out the reality. That isn't the case when we look at the record. Over the last year, the value of the crypto market has fallen below $1 trillion, losing about 70% of its value. Bitcoin alone has seen its value plummet below $20,000 from a peak of $67,000. In June, Celsius, a crypto platform, suspended customer withdrawals and transfers, filed for bankruptcy. In May, the quote, stable coin, Terra collapsed, resulting in a $300 billion loss across crypto markets. Yet it was marketed as a stable coin. Don't get me wrong, there is risk and speculation, and it applies to a lot of different circumstances. But lucky for us that cryptocurrencies have not been inextricably tied to our banking system, or a $2 trillion loss would have been felt in a different way. And now we have companies like Fidelity saying they are going to include bitcoins and cryptocurrency in retirement accounts. If we went through another meltdown as we did this last year with retirement accounts and life savings at stake, it would have a much greater impact. I would say my concern is this. I'm glad we're talking about regulation. We have to have it. But I worry that we are doing enough to salve our conscience, that we're doing something, but not doing enough to put up guardrails and stop signs on the Crypto Express. In this term, regulatory certainty, I've run into that before as a term, that if we don't provide regulatory certainty to this industry, they'll leave. They'll go to Malta or El Salvador or Portugal or somewhere. Really? Do you think that's a possibility?
It is, but it's not a concern of mine. And Senator, I appreciate the point. It's what I said to Senator Ernst. We in the U.S. have to balance our approach to regulation. And we've done this very well for decades. We have to be deliberate, we have to be cautious, we have to be patient, and instill the principles of regulatory foundations that have made our capital markets, our derivatives markets, including the Board of Trade, the best in the world. But I do think, coupled with that caution and deliberation, we do need to move forward. We need to engage. We need to understand that this is a new technology that's disrupting financial markets.
How much money does CFTC need to regulate cryptocurrency?
Senator, I think about a year ago, I think it was my November hearing before this committee, it could have been February, and I apologize for not knowing specifically. I said $100 million. I used that number because that was approximately the number that we received over the past few years since the financial crisis and what our funding level went prior to the financial crisis to after the financial crisis. But in an effort to get a more specific number, I had my staff work on this exercise specifically for a number of months. We've come up with $112 million over the first 3 years, divided not equally. We would be weighted on the front end of the 3 years. This would be for rulemaking, this would be for hiring, this would be for training, expertise, and this would be with outreach.
What's your current annual budget?
Current annual budget is $320 million.
So you're talking about a substantial infusion through the user fee of 112 million.
112 million over 3 years. The first year would be about $40 million. So
Really?
Yeah. And
So-
we did calculations based on the rulemakings and some of the reports that are due, and then the engagement with the industry.
Well, I would like to talk to you about that, because
I would.
I honestly believe that you're lowballing it. That if you're serious about regulation of industry where 1 in 5 Americans now has invested and had some risk, and we're now getting into retirement accounts
Yeah.
and 401ks and the like, and the major brokers like Fidelity and others are starting to include this in their plan, there's a lot more exposure and a lot more risk than just a year or two ago.
Senator, I welcome the conversation. We did sort of off-the-cuff analysis based on examinations of who's registered with FinCEN and just doing a survey of markets. This is certainly not a hard number, and you may be right. And I certainly would welcome an upward movement of that funding level, but I did want to come back with some evidence to support a number as opposed to just saying $100 million, which is what I did last time. But time will tell, and I don't know how the market will either consolidate or grow after this bill would be passed. So it's hard for me to give an exact number, but I just wanted to do my best to defend a number that I'm sharing with the committee.
And this number, whatever it may be, is going to be generated from the crypto world in a user fee.
Exactly.
Thank you, Madam Chair.